Hi, I'm Jefferson Drexler, and this is Parent Like You Mean It, the podcast where we talk about parenting with intentionality. And today we're doing things a little bit different. Typically, as many of you probably know, I typically have pre-written a script and throw in my little turns of phrase and jokes and whatever. But this time we're going a little bit more raw. It's unscripted, so if I ramble, please forgive me. But there's just a series of perspectives and thoughts that have been rattling through my mind in the last several weeks. Starting with the fact that I've mentioned this before. About 8 years ago, we started getting our sons involved in mixed martial arts. Now, the studio that our kids work out in, it's called Swift Kick. They have two different gyms here in the San Diego area. If you live down here and you're looking for stuff for your kids to do, Swift Kick is by far my highest recommendation. We can go on that over and over and over again. But it's more than just self-defense. They've learned so much as far as just character development, and the priorities that the team has there is just incredible. And part of all that, they also have an adult series of classes, and my wife and I had the privilege to do the adult class a while back, and it was funny because we're watching, this is back when the kids were younger, when they're just starting out, and they're doing their combinations, and they're going, jab, cross, jab, or they're busting out of hold, and then immediately they learn that their biggest weapon, their most important weapon, is their voice. And so at those moments, they would do their combination, then they would yell, "Stop!" or "Go away," or whatnot. And they said, if you can get people's attention, then people will be able to come and help you. And you're telling, in a very loud, assertive voice for your attacker to stop. So then my wife and I take the adult class, and I'm going through the series, and he's like, jab, cross, and he's punching, kicking, knee, and I was just curious, and I went to the instructor and I said, okay, so at what point do we, say stop? What point do we use our voice that you're so, dogmatic about this being the most important weapon that you have? And he said, Jefferson, think about this. If somebody is attacking you, or more importantly, if somebody is attacking your wife or children or somebody you love, at that point, being an adult, somebody's already used their voice. Your job is to put that attacker down until they can't get up anymore. And that changed my whole perspective on this whole self-defense thing. And as my boys have gotten older, it's more than just self-defense, but rather it's also defending those who need defending. And so, and as they've escalated into now junior black belts, there's a totally different perspective on wisdom and discernment and knowing when is it time to intervene, when is it time to, basically just restrain, and all these different factors that these young men of mine are having to learn and wrap their heads around. And where this all comes to play is now, as my family is sitting around the dinner table, or I should say we're watching the news and then sitting around the dinner table, and questions are starting to come up like, okay, as Americans, as people that we've learned about, it's coming from my kids, who in World War I did this, in World War II did that, in Korea we did this, in Vietnam we did that, in Desert Storm we did this, and in Afghanistan we did that. Dad, they're asking me questions like, Dad, when is it that we step in and we be that defender? When is it that we as a nation actually step up? And I started thinking about that, and I go, okay, well, are there differences between personal defense? Is there a difference between if somebody's attacking my wife or my children, or even take it next level, my neighbor? What about our good friends? What if somebody's attacking the neighbor I don't like? Do I step in? Do I use my martial arts in order to stop the person who's attacking even my neighbor whom I don't like? Or even the image that popped into my head is if I'm driving, or if I'm riding down the street on my bike, if I'm skateboarding, if I'm just walking, and across the street, I see some guy, big guy, haul off and punch the girl that's next to him. I don't know this scenario. I don't know what their relationship is. I don't know what she just did to him. But I see this big guy pummeling this girl across the street. Especially with the training that I or my boys have, do we have a moral obligation to run across the street and intervene? Well, we started kind of throwing out these what ifs around the dinner table, and you know, one of my boys said, well, what if but what if it's not just somebody hauling off? What if he's got a knife, or what if he's got a gun in his pocket? That really puts you into mortal danger. And it is a very valid question. If you think that that bad guy is carrying a weapon, do you still jump in? Well, of course, if somebody's attacking my wife and my children, or somebody I love, a family member, a neighbor, a dear friend, there's no doubt in my mind I'm jumping in and I'm stopping them. I'm putting even my life at risk in order to stop this violence from happening to people who I care for. And what if it's somebody I don't like? Or maybe it's somebody who I don't even know, a complete stranger. Well, that becomes that big picture macro dilemma of, and this is what we've been seeing on the news. President Biden has said multiple times that if Russia were to invade or you know, attack one of our fellow NATO members, if he were to cross certain red lines, if you will, then we're coming at him full force. I would relate that to if a bad guy is attacking my loved ones, if a bad guy is attacking somebody whom I have a relationship with, then I'm coming at him. And it kind of doesn't even matter what the danger possibilities might be to me. I'm going to step in. I've been trained. I have a certain capability, and I'm going to use those capabilities to stop that unjust violence. You know, if it's that stranger across the way, if it's somebody who I know, but I don't have a solid relationship with, that's kind of this. Maybe I'll yell. Maybe I'll say, hey, stop. Maybe I'm not going to do business with you anymore. I'll throw sanctions at that guy across the street. This is where things are getting complicated as far as from a parent's point of view, from a dad's point of view, from a dad of boys who've been trained in self-defense and defense of others. What should my response be when they ask, Dad, aren't we obligated, morally, aren't we obligated to stand up for our fellow man, to stand in the gap and protect those who can't protect themselves? To see blatant injustice and violence, and in fact killing, don't we owe it to our fellow man to stop that? Now, I know, and I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand those who are staunch anti-interventionists, we'll call them. They say, look, it's not our problem. He's not attacking us. He's not attacking NATO, so we don't get involved. Just straight up. That's our policy. It doesn't happen. Again, I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I also understand others that might say, well, hey, look, it's a civil war conflict, and you know, between certain factions, and Russia is just backing a certain faction. But in essence, there's still, you know, some unrest that are decades old unrest. I can, again, kind of understand that, but not really. But on the other hand of it all, honestly, all I see is a sovereign nation attack. Let's put it this way. Russia is a big country, and the Ukraine is a small country. And this big country has attacked this small country. Tell me if you've heard this lesson before. And the reality is this little country, as hard as they will fight, and they will fight, at this point in the game, we're several weeks in, I don't know how much of a chance they stand against that big country. And I believe that just from a human dignity, a man who loves to preserve righteousness and who wants to fight to preserve righteousness, I see what's going on over there, and I don't see anything that's righteous in what Russia is doing here. Politically, yeah, we might completely shoot ourselves in the foot. Filled with analogies today. World War III, it might be around the corner. But from my assessment, I'm just a dad. But I'm a dad who does look at things both on the macro and the micro. And I see a situation where I know that if somebody were attacking the people I love, the people that I'm close to, or even a complete stranger, that if somebody was full on attacking that person, I would throw myself into peril's way to put an end to that danger. And judging by the words that are being said by our leaders, I would expect the same from them. Which brings me to my final thought on all this. And this is where it gets really hard. Rubber meets the road. I would implore our leaders to either step in and say, we're putting an end to this, and yes, we know what terrible consequences that might bring on. But in the name of defending the defendless, or as Zorro said, to defeat the feetless, I thought I could do this without jokes. The truth about it is we should step in and intervene and put an end to it. I don't care what may come. We do it frugally, we do it wisely, we do it with full discernment, but we do it. Or we say, look, we will give you money, President Zelensky, we will give you armaments, we will do things up to a certain point, but the hard truth is, there is a hard truth and we're not going to get involved. We love people, we just don't love you that much. Sorry. That's a hard pill to swallow. Personally, I can't imagine myself ever saying that to somebody. I can't imagine myself driving down the road, looking over, seeing somebody getting pummeled and going, hey, you should stop. I wish I could do something about it, and I know I'm fully capable, but you know what? I just don't care that much about you to really put myself in danger. I know there's others who can say, but we're not talking just, a person getting scuffed up or a person being shot or a person, the level of danger. We're talking like cataclysmic, World War III, nuclear, planetary, everybody's destroyed. And I understand that, but I also understand that there are certain moments where we as a nation, where we as individuals are called to either do A or B. And sometimes to choose that middle ground between A and B, without saying so much, we're really choosing B. In this case, it seems to me like there's either intervene or not. And we're trying to play this middle ground as a nation, when by playing that middle ground, we're truly saying, sorry, we care, we just don't care that much. And at least then our cards would be on the table. I personally can't imagine me or instructing my kids to operate on that level. I'm very curious to what some of you would do as parents, as far as your instruction of your children on this level. I just know that there's a responsibility toward our fellow man that I and my wife have tried really hard to instill into our boys. I hope and pray that as the leaders of tomorrow's America, that all of you are trying to instill that into your children as well. And that's where this whole thing kind of comes full circle. This show is about parenting with intentionality today so that we can impact the leaders of tomorrow. And I fear that if we teach our leaders, our future leaders, that it's okay to speak like you care, but you don't really have to act like you care. if we teach our future leaders that you only really get involved when it affects you personally, if we teach our future leaders that, look, you can defend yourself or the people that are closest to you to a certain point, but everybody else, they're on their own. Good luck to them. I think we're setting ourselves, our nation, our culture up for extreme failure. That's all I got. Like I said, this is completely unscripted. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Comment below. Do like, subscribe, share. You know the drill. To both Christian Podcast Central, ChristianPodcastCentral.com, and of course to our YouTube channel, which is at YouTube, Christian Podcast Central. There on YouTube as well. Check it all out. We're going to have a whole lot more for you. And as we watch the news, we wait and see. Keep praying. Keep leading. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.